Hi, welcome to today's educational program, Winning the Digital Game with a Collaborative Ecosystem, brought to you by IoT World and sponsored by Schneider Electric. I'm Lucian Fogoros. I'm the co-founder of IoT World, and I'd like to introduce our moderator, Greg Orloff, Senior Analyst and Chief Innovation Officer, who will moderate the virtual conference on behalf of my team. Thank you for joining. Feel free to send your question either leveraging the hashtag SE_exchange or using the Q&A section. So welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Lucian. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. For those of you joining us the first time, please allow me to give you a little bit of a background on our organization. IoT World is a digital media publication that covers the economic and technological implications of the transformation that is taking place as the industrial Internet of Things proliferates throughout the enterprise. IoT World combines journalistic coverage with data analytics to expose the stories, players, trends that are going on as the industrial revolution perpetuates across the IoT. Our mission is to help companies create a culture of innovation and connect the smarts, which is essentially the industrial technology, the manufacturing, the sensors, and the CXO decision makers. Now today we have an exciting panel with representatives from Accenture, Schneider Electric, and Sensei. Now the agenda for today is a 75-minute webcast, and our speakers are going to cover seizing the business value of the IoT, big data, and artificial intelligence, or AI, building an AI project dream team and data scientists, AI specialists, and domain experts. We're going to learn how to leverage digital and digitization at the same time to solve customer problems. And we're going to create new digital business models. Adopting a collaborative approach to digital innovation via an open ecosystem is going to be key, and Schneider Electric Exchange user use cases to exemplify this for us. Now our format is a bit different today than we have in the past. We will have Cyril Perucat, who's the Executive Vice President of IoT and Digital Offers from Schneider Electric, provide a brief overview of Schneider's Exchange. Following Cyril's introduction, we will move right into the Q&A session of today's session. We're going to drill deeper into Exchange with additional insights from our other panelists who will join us momentarily. That's Accenture's Gene Cabanas, who's the Managing Director and Industrial EALA Lead, and Robert Russell, who's the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of Sensei. Also, for the first time, IoT World, we're going to be giving away a prize today to the 9th person who submits a question in our Q&A. If you go down to the bottom, you'll see where you can do that. The 9th person is going to win a book entitled 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Harari. It's July 9th, so we thought we'd give it away to the 9th person. Now, the winner must be present, so there's a tie to keep you here to the end of the session. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Cyril. He's the global leader of IoT and digital offers representative for Schneider Electric's IoT strategy and execution. Cyril's focused on delivering new digitally enabled connected offers that help customers be more efficient and sustainable. Previously, he was Chief Technology Officer and Strategy Officer for the industrial business. Cyril joined Schneider Electric in 1994 and has held multiple leadership positions in sales, marketing, manufacturing, technology, strategy, and M&A in several countries, including France, Germany, China, and Singapore. He's currently located in the U.S. in the greater Boston area. Cyril holds a master's degree in engineering from École Nationale Supérieure des Arts Métiers, ENSAM Paratech, and a master's degree in international project management from ESCP Europe Business School. Cyril, the floor is yours. Please give us an overview of Schneider Electric Exchange.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for the detailed introduction. And hello, everyone. Thanks for having the opportunity of this discussion today. So I want first to launch the discussion with the panel on giving you some insight of what is Schneider Electric Exchange and why we created Schneider Electric Exchange with which business intent. So next slide, please. So when we look at the environment, many companies, including Schneider Electric, have been developing offers, addressing customer challenge, using the opportunity of the new technologies that we see on the market. But very often I see when I engage with customers or when I engage with partners that too often the conversation is centered on technology or building new technology or trying a new technology approach. And we wanted to recenter the conversation with Schneider Electric Exchange on solving customers' real business problem. And we tried to identify, and we ended up with the idea of Exchange, a collaborative approach with our ecosystem to start from a customer problem and actually organize the co-creation and the co-development of the resolution of that specific customer problem. Next slide, please. So in Schneider Electric Exchange, we have assembled, in order to address this equation I was mentioning, that three capabilities are important to integrate in a cross-industry open business platform. And we believe that Schneider Electric Exchange is the first cross-industry open business platform dedicated to solving real-time, real-world business problems at the intersection of sustainability and efficiency. But in order to achieve that goal, we need to provide to an ecosystem of partners the means to create new things, develop those solutions that address integrated efficiency and sustainability challenge across multiple domains. That's an important aspect of innovation, being able to go across many different contexts in order to cross-fertilize. Second pillar, being able to organize collaboration. So how do we bring together expert and innovator from different horizons? Maybe people that have the ability, that have the experience to collaborate together already in a more physical ecosystem, but also bringing in that collaboration platform more digital native type of partners that will benefit from a digitally enabled collaboration system. And then organize scale. I think the point of this is not to create experiment, but to enable the different actors of the ecosystem to grow their business and scale their business, because ultimately by growing the ecosystem around this co-innovation, we create value for the ecosystem that we are able to share all together and to grow our different respective business. So that's the intent of Exchange, and that's the pillar we wanted to articulate and to integrate in this first cross-industry open business platform. Next, please. So in order to do this, we have assembled three specific technical capabilities on Exchange. We are able with Exchange to provide technical resources and toolbox, of course with the best-in-class management of API, data science, dataset, and SDKs, so that people can consume the technical resources, the guides, the assets that allow them to build their solution. Then a motor to drive private and public communities. So how do we organize wide cross-border global public communities as much as private, more local communities that are on a specific customer segment in a specific geography or on a specific business context, and a digital marketplace, which is a key element to be able to drive this scalability component. But with a digital marketplace that is not the digital marketplace of Schneider Electric, but that is the digital marketplace of the community, of the ecosystem, where the different members have a full publisher lifecycle management capability and access to a global payment infrastructure with different type of models. Of course, the basic free type of consumption, download a piece of software or subscribe to an API, perpetual license, subscription, so all the different models, so that we can provide within the platform the ability to manage content and transact this content, whatever the form it is. And what is unique in Exchange is to organize those different pillars all together. There are pieces of each of those things that exist, but you might have a community that is dedicated to a sector that is not combined with a digital marketplace. So why, if we discuss about a specific product in the community, why cannot go directly within my experience, consume that asset? Why cannot share with a member of the ecosystem technical assets that people can use easily to build solutions? So integrating all those different pieces together with the right type of customer experience through what we call a workspace is what makes Schneider Electric Exchange unique in the type of experience we provide to the different users. Next, please. So those personalized experience are really built around specific personas. We are gradually adding different roles and persona on Exchange, and on those different Exchange, we are really building a seamless, tailored experience so that when you are a system integrator or a data scientist or a software developer or an end user, you have needs that are very specific and very different. You want to be part of the community, but you want the experience to be consistent with your workflow so that you really have a tool. You have something that is more than just a destination, but something that is a tool that you can use easily in your job. If you are a data scientist, you want to be able to have access, an easy access to data set, the management of the life cycle of the data set. If you're an end user, you want to describe a problem and find it easy to find the right partner to solve your problem, and so on and so on. Yeah, and this is what I describe pretty much on the different type of personas that we have on Exchange. Next slide, please. As you are attending this discussion and you have an interest on that topic, fundamentally what you can do with Schneider Electric Exchange is to be able to reach a larger customer base because we want to do a broad, open, cross-border, multi-sector ecosystem. We want you to have access to a vast library of resources, APIs, analytics, data sets that you can consume and integrate in your offers or collaborate with the right people that will provide you further assets. And we want to provide you digital tools, publisher lifecycle management, marketplace, and everything that will help you to scale your business and speed up your time to market for different digital solutions and increase your reach with these communities. That's really what you are able to do right away on Exchange, because Exchange is not an intention, it's a reality. We launched Schneider Electric Exchange during Hannover Messe 3 months ago, and it's live, up and running, and the user base is growing every month. Next, please. So I invite you to join exchange.se.com. The registration is pretty straightforward and easy, and we will be delighted to welcome you in the community, receive your feedback and your contribution, and grow this solvers and innovators community that we have established with Schneider Electric Exchange.
Great. Well, thank you, Cyril. It was a good overview of the, I guess, the platform itself. It's almost a community of interest of sorts. I'd now like to invite our other two panelists to unmute and join Cyril on the panel. While they're adjusting their audio and coming off of mute, let me give you a little bit of a background on both of them. Gene Cabanis is the Managing Director of Industrial EALA Lead for Accenture, and he's leading Accenture's industrial segment for Europe, Africa, and Latin America. He's based in Paris and is the global client account lead for Michelin Tire. As a thought leader, Gene focuses on innovation and creation of new business models, from design through execution of large global transformational programs for Accenture's clients, leveraging digital. He joined Accenture in 1992 and is focused primarily on the automotive and industrial equipment sectors. He's responsible for defining and driving Accenture's growth and innovation initiatives in Europe and industrial. His extensive business modeling, supply chain, finance, CRM, e-commerce, and SAP transformation, design and implementation experience, working with clients to successfully implement these programs to drive results. So welcome, Gene. Our third panelist, Robert Russell, is the Chief Technology Officer at Sensei. After graduating with a BS in mechanical engineering, Rob spent 20 plus years designing and deploying asset management and condition monitoring systems within the aerospace, defense, and transportation sectors. Having a mechanical engineering background in the software sector has enabled him to bridge the gap between the end user and the software team doing the development. Since 2015, Rob has guided the vision for the ongoing development of the world's first completely automated PDM and prognostic solution built for the scale of IIoT, Sensei. So I want to kick this off with a little bit of a question between the four of us. So Cyril, let me start with you. When I think about Schneider Electric, I mean, you've pivoted from an organization that was focused exclusively in the heavy industrial equipment sector at the beginning of the first industrial revolution. And now you're leading the digital transformation of energy management and industrial automation today. What advice can you provide customers in a situation of trying to push their company's own turning point to digital?
So this has been a quite long evolution in our long history. It's true that if we go back to the 1930s, yes, Schneider Electric started with EV industrial equipment, but then gradually in the 90s or in the past 20 years, we really shifted from a company that was focused on making hardware and equipment to gradually increase in our portfolio the presence of software, services, and connectivity. We were in the 90s doing connectivity of the on-premise version of connectivity and IoT before it was named IoT. And what has really changed in the past years is more than just connecting things together, is really making sense of the data that we can get out of this and transforming data into business insights. And that's why I highlighted this importance of the ecosystem, is because it's a company like Schneider Electric. In this journey, we have been successful because not only we have developed our own technology and our own solutions, but we have developed an ecosystem to support us in that journey in different stages of the value chain. And being able to go to the next step of that experience as ourselves, we move to a more digital version of our business with associated experience, a data, insight-centric business, the generation of new business offers. We want not only to expand the capabilities of our ecosystem to be competitive together with us in that landscape, but we also want to expand our ecosystem to new type of persona. And I was mentioning data, for example, being able to expand both to data scientists and the people that are core to the data and artificial intelligence context, as well as bringing more technology companies, startup tech companies that can expand our ecosystem is very important for us in this new stage of our journey that we are writing.
When I think about what you just said, I mean, kind of brings to mind, no single company can do these things alone, or you can do them alone. I think, and traditionally, when you look at organizations, there was a lot of closed doors and closeness in terms of divulging what you're working on and how do you only leverage your internal resources. And what you're telling me is that part of what you've been able to do is transcend that by opening it up to a community and pulling the resources, if you will, leveraging those resources externally. I mean, especially when it comes to balancing energy efficiency and productivity and things along those lines. It makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Cyril. Next question is for you, Gene. What benefits can come from leveraging a community of problem solvers, outside of your organization, kind of to the point that we just talked through, when you're faced with making decisions around productivity or keeping a competitive advantage?
Thank you, Greg. To start with, I would say that in today's digital era, no company, in fact, can succeed alone, in particular to capture the potential value coming from digitization. A lot of disruptive innovation are coming from startup, from small company versus, let's say, the big in-house R&D. And this is true in the industrial environment. And one of the reasons this is true, it's because these startups have less constraint than the big players. And therefore, the big players are incorporating into their value chain, let's say, this startup, and these big players still focus on the core, the product, the electrical panel, the automation system, and really to accelerate their ability to innovate, they need to embark a wider ecosystem and clearly to capture value from digital innovation and particularly from the data, as Cyril was stating it before. And in order, therefore, to keep and develop competitive advantage or increase productivity, it requires new skills like data science, new way to, let's say, create processes much more iterative than linear, new ways to innovate like human lane innovation processes, different type of technologies potentially that industrial players have or might not have today, or at times cannot afford because not all players, for example, are going to develop an IoT platform. The cost of some of this investment is so massive that, yes, clearly you need to leverage partners without, let's say, investing massively and most of the time you cannot invest on some of these subjects. So in this context, clearly industrial players, they have to leverage the power of the community, and then we see more and more leading industrial players developing business collaborative platforms to enable their ecosystem to better innovate and to accelerate the digital transformation. I think Schneider Electric is one of the best examples with Exchange. In the software, in the analytics space, there's some other interesting examples already quite well established, an ecosystem of developers, data scientists, peer-to-peer help to solve problems like, let's say, I could quote Kaggle for analytic challenge, GitHub for open source. But clearly, if I look at, let's say, the industrial and energy management space, what Schneider is proposing with Exchange is clearly, let's say, addressing the whole spectrum of what you need to do to be able to, let's say, innovate and leverage, let's say, skills, knowledge, and capability you don't have. And by leveraging the communities through those new business platform models, industrial players clearly get multiple benefits, problem-solving acceleration, thanks in particular to cross-fertilization.
Do you think just 2 bags?
2 bags.
Hello? Access to prepackaged solution and answers, access to skills and technologies that they do not have, data science, artificial intelligence, access to a network of experts and service providers that can support them. And for me, this new way to accelerate problem solving in the new is at the cornerstone of what I would call a wise pivot approach we encourage our client to take in order to accelerate their rotation to the new, which is clearly work in ecosystem to accelerate innovation and optimize your internal processes to finance the innovation implementation. Over to you, Greg.
Yeah, so there's a couple takeaways I think on this. I mean, there's definitely the ability to leverage the community that I keep hearing over and over again. I think another nuance that I heard you put into this as well is that you need to have a clear definition of the problem when you're coming into this. What are you seeking to solve? And the community can help you leverage that and look at it from a broader expanse. Whether you're addressing supply chain issues or innovation issues or maximizing an energy efficiency from that standpoint.
I think, Greg, if I may, I think this first element, which is defining what is a problem, is a very important first step, and the community has a lot of value in doing this. Because if I meet a lot of customers, if I'm a customer, and I run a manufacturing operation and I have the goal to improve productivity, I know what is my need, I know what is my opportunity, but I don't know what is my problem. So what is my roadblock? Is it an hardware problem? Is it a software problem? Is it a process problem? So engaging with the community to help scoping what are the different ways that exist, finding expertise to do a proper diagnosis. So I was mentioning data scientists, so I can share a data set that describes the behavior of my process, and then I can have a data scientist make a first level analysis, identifying what are the patterns underlying those data that describe how resources are consumed, for example. That's not solving the problem, but that at least pointing the conversation in the right direction so that the customer can understand or the partner can understand what is the next step in the conversation. So this element of scoping is really starting from the problem, but not just solving it, but defining it in the right way. That's extremely important.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And to me, it's a definite paradigm shift, because if you look at organizations 100 years ago, it was internalized. You had a team that did that, right? You didn't divulge that and put things out there to a community. And when I look at what the enablement that this offers is huge. So you have the capability to just pool resources and tap into people that have already reinvented that wheel a couple times again. So that's an interesting perspective. Thank you. Thank you both. Robert, a question for you. Customers today need an accurate, reliable way to track potential problems with any asset throughout their organization, and also a viable way to rule out human error to minimize downtime. What are the advantages from gaining insights and best practices from a community on a business platform like this?
So for us at Sensei, as a startup, it's that input you need. We work in very much an agile environment where we adapt quickly to those product needs. And in the early days of a company like ours, it's really trying to understand that product market fit. So having access to those type of use cases where you can get direct interaction with a wide range of community, including end users, and as we've mentioned before, having real business problems that are driving forward what we're doing. For us at Sensei, it's been invaluable. The work that we've been doing alongside Schneider, for example, in their Le Vaudreuil plant, which is an innovative smart factory. It's really informed a lot of the decision making in our product roadmap, and then we're able to utilize information on Exchange. We're even, as a small company, sharing data back onto that Exchange platform to contribute there, because it's information that can then be used by other organizations. For example, one of the things I sort of preach is with data, collect it once and then use it many times, because you've invested a lot of resource in collecting that data. There's probably many business models that you're able to build on top of that. And from our perspective, our key focus is predictive maintenance, and it's bringing condition monitoring at scale. A high percentage of the data that we utilize was originally captured for production reasons. It's production control information that's then been refactored and utilized for predictive maintenance. In addition, also being able to get close to people working within factories and plants. One of the step changes that we're trying to make in this sector is enabling the benefits of predictive maintenance right down to the shop floor. So one of the big blocks that you would have, and stumbling blocks in this area, is the access to specialists. And those specialists are limited, and being able to have something that can empower the shop floor and then bring the specialist in for the real problem that the shop floor aren't able to resolve themselves, and it enables scale fundamentally.
That's interesting to me, and I know there's a lot of talk in industry. It's probably gone on for a long time, but when you look recently about brain drain, people retiring, people moving on to the next portions of their career, or retirement in the reality, and you have all that knowledge base that exists within those folks. Their knowledge of what's going on their shop floors, and how do we capture that? And is it physically possible to capture what's in their minds over a 30, 40-year period? Or when you introduce something like this, it's opening up access to other organizations that may have that particular intelligence or nuances that you need as well. So that's
exactly the approach. Through my career, I've seen several cases where you build a product like ours, but it's always focused on one specific use case, one specific plant, or one specific asset type. Being able to do this in a cloud platform and offer this as a SaaS offering, but then bringing that together with new advances in machine learning, we can generalize this. We can take a solution that is used in a plant in Le Vaudreuil, for example, where it's a winding machine that's been used to make circuit breakers. That same technology can be used on robots within an automotive plant as well, and that enables us to have a level of access to the benefits of predictive maintenance that haven't been seen before, and it's all down to that connectivity and that community that an industrial IoT brings us.
No, That's exceptional. You think about an application where you got a bearing that's going out in a machine shop floor. Well, that same type of sensing technology can be utilized in a bottling factory or an automotive sector or anything. Now, those are good real world examples to share. Thank you, Robert. Cyril, can you give us a couple examples of how Schneider Electric Exchange brings together the experts, computer scientists, domain experts, kind of continue along this thought path here, because this is some good content.
Well, there are different archetype use case that we can imagine. So we have been working with system integrators, either in building management or in industrial process management, who are able with the communities to tap onto collective intelligence. There is a lot of dynamic in those communities. I invite you to join them and contribute, where the collective intelligence of people sharing interests on the same topic, facing every day the same challenges, transcends the boundaries of organizations. So that's really the idea of open community. We have been able to identify business opportunities between members that translated into joint work onto a specific project. So a conversation started in a community, exchanging assets in the marketplace, downloading something, and then discussing how we could evolve that piece in something that is more adapted to a specific solution. And there are we are early days in our story, but there are plenty of examples like this. And the idea of an open community is also that it's going to evolve to capture the best opportunities for this ecosystem, and we are going to tool and equip the platform with capabilities so that people can have easier, seamless collaboration, better lifecycle management of their business altogether. There are multiple examples that we can develop across this. But again, that's early days, and we are very much interested by your feedback, and your feedback will come through your active contribution and participation to the platform.
Got it. Can you give me a specific success story, maybe collaboration with Exchange, and maybe just cite a couple concrete benefits of bringing a community together? I'd love to hear a specific example if you've got one.
It's difficult to be specific and mention names publicly because some of those. I think the association of Sensei to Exchange is a good success story. We of course, that's why Rob is here. I think we have the ability to build joint solution in the field of predictive maintenance, as well as defining together through the collaboration in the community how we could go to the next step in some specific context. So that's a good practical example that I can name because Rob is here, and we have many unique stories like this that are developing across Exchange.
Okay.
Perhaps to rebound on what Cyril said, as clearly Exchange aimed at enabling cross-fertilization, in particular with data experts leveraging artificial intelligence for industrial and energy players. And it's, for me, a place to co-innovate. And traditionally, from my experience, industry and energy players, they do not have, in particular, the ability to work with tech companies. And I think what Exchange enables well is the matchmaking that is mandatory for the co-development and the success of this industrial and energy company with tech companies. So you are saying Sensei and Schneider, that's a good example. If I look at things I've seen of Exchange that I found particularly valuable, it's around the data set from the field that are available for free on Exchange, and that can help startups to train their model and to identify patterns that then could be used by the community, Exchange, and the partners of the community to improve their operations. We work with Schneider Electric to build powerful analytics, leveraging the deep Schneider Electric expertise of the business context and combining that with technical skills on artificial intelligence to really create differentiating, let's say, algorithm and make them available to the community. And I think that's what, for me, make it something that should, let's say, onboard a wider panel of society, because what it brings. It brings value to the community, and the more you will have, let's say, companies contributing to that community, I think the more value will be created.
Maybe before I jump in on the data set to complement what Jean said, I think the topic of data is not necessarily easy because there are a lot of constraints, knowledge that is necessary to transform data onto insight. What we want to be able to provide as capability in Exchange is either if you take a company like Schneider Electric, we have 200 buildings around the world. We have connected systems. Our own solutions are integrated on those buildings. We capture data. We were able to create data sets that we contribute to the community. Of course, they are anonymized, synthesized in the right way so that we don't disclose any confidential information. But then those data sets publicly available can help companies develop or optimize their solution because they have real world data. There are things that come from the real world that will help them design better solutions or better algorithms. We can do this with some of the data that come out of our industrial processes as well, the way an industrial process consumes energy, for example. So by contributing those data sets to the community, we can help the community develop better solutions. But we can also imagine more transactions in a collaborative private environment where an end user has a tool. We collaborate with a company called Open Datasoft on that specific aspect of our platform. So it's a startup. And we are able to package data in a certain format so that it's easy to organize challenge and collaboration across those data in order to address and solve a specific customer problem. So that's one of the scenarios we want to develop. It's clear that those scenarios are more emerging because we need to educate and get people be comfortable to share, trade, exchange data. But as we bring those new generation of partners to ecosystem like data scientists, they are much more familiar with those kind of approach. I've been on Kaggle that Jean you were mentioning, but it's a very open, generic type of data science competition where in the context of Exchange, we want a community of people that are focused and I would say even obsessed by efficiency and sustainability. So there is a much stronger, precise business context on how the different people collaborate. You were questioning me on early days and success. I can think about in the technology and system integration space, we have a lot of good stories. I was thinking about Cognex. So vision solution integrated is with industrial automation solution with a partner on Exchange. I was thinking about Supertech, which is a system integrator in India, collaborating on a large project and being able to get through the platform some specific technical assets to go to the market faster with solutions. So there are a lot of examples that are emerging and we do hope that there will be more and more in this business platform. And we think there will be more and more because people want solutions to their problem. They don't want what I have seen too often, even including to companies visiting me and offering me their solution, where somebody wave a piece of technology in front of me and hope that whatever is this piece of technology, this is going to solve my specific problem. I think putting those technology in context with domain expertise, with collaboration, help get technology useful and having a business impact with this technology. And digitization is not just about technologies. There are many different dimensions to digitization or to digital transformation. The business model, the approach to scale, the customer experience. Technology is just one of the components we need to activate in a community like Exchange.
That's a great point. I want to take that a step further. I mean, are you seeing, IoT world, we're trying to perpetuate the industrial side of IoT across businesses globally. Are you seeing a shift in mindset in organizations to be more of a proponent towards that and an adoption of this type of data sharing in a community environment? I mean,
I see that. I think it depends on the sectors of activity. Some sectors are more conservative, or some sectors will see less a risk to sharing data than some others. If you are in industrial processes, then of course it's a little bit more of a stepwise approach to say, how do I package my data so that I can share them without taking a risk to disclose company secrets. I see traction in the building space because there is a willingness to open, like in the open data world, to open data in order to create new experience and new opportunities in building with probably less perception of the risk to sharing those data. So I see movements here, and I see an appetite because people don't want only to play and experiment technology, as I said earlier. They want something that has depth, that is specific to their context. And I think Jean was pointing on matchmaking. That's a very important aspect. As we said earlier, if wherever you are in the value chain, if you have a problem, you don't necessarily know how does the solution of that problem looks like. So if you meet a software company, this software company will try to convince you that the solution to your problem is a piece of software. But if you meet a service company, the service company will tell you that the solution to your problem absolutely needs to be a service. But in most of the cases, it's going to be a combination. So how do you orchestrate this conversation so that we combine an end user context with a software tool and a service company that helps use this software tool in the right way, with the right parameters, in the right operating environments, and maybe the data scientists in between to combine also different parameters in the right way. That's, again, the scenario we want to be able to activate in Exchange. And we believe that if we solve more of those specific problems for the community gets smarter, the collective value that is created is bigger, and at the end, every benefits. So the center point of that community is not Schneider Electric. Schneider Electric is the orchestrator, and Schneider Electric is a participant. But the community is not about Schneider Electric. If Schneider Electric was silent in the community, and we intend to be strong participants, but if Schneider Electric was silent, Exchange will still be relevant for all the community. It's not a community that is built around a product, and in order to get the benefit of that community, you absolutely have to use that product. It's not a technology ecosystem around a specific product. It's a business community, which is for me very different. There is a fundamental difference between a technology-centered ecosystem and a business-centered ecosystem. That's a business platform. That's what is our goal.
Thank you. Schneider Electric and Accenture, they've been working for a few years now on Schneider's internal engagement model to invigorate and innovate digital solutions. Team, what's your view on how EcoStruxure and Exchange can help increase productivity and drive new business for an organization?
Yes, clearly, Schneider Electric Exchange is a natural extension and enabler of EcoStruxure. Looking at customer problem through the lens of the entire ecosystem, enabled by Schneider Electric Exchange, make EcoStruxure a much more relevant offer because each customer is trying to solve very specific problems and is trying to solve very unique equation. So if I have to make a comparison with, let's say, B2C business, it's really one-to-one marketing. Okay, Exchange should enable this very personalized relationship, and that is, let's say, customer and problem driven, not solution or product driven. And I think that for me, what is very important in changing the way you drive your business. You start from your customer problem, you don't start from your product. Secondly, I do believe that whether it's about optimization, zero downtime, preventive maintenance, Schneider has to line up a lot of different technology specialists with different abilities and expertise, along with system integrators like us. And they are doing this in Schneider Electric Exchange. That is to say, they want the community to be able to benefit from it. And together, Schneider Electric Exchange and EcoStruxure really leverage deep segment expertise to solve those difficult customer problems. And as I have said, for me, this is a way to make, I insist on the wise pivot toward digital transformation, which is both, let's say, innovating and funding the innovation through efficiencies. And I think that's a challenge that every company is facing. And you don't need to throw out or throw away your traditional DNA. You just need to enhance it with your digital DNA. And that's for me, I see in that perspective Exchange as an enabler to that.
Yeah, to complement what Jean said, I think on the market there are two extremes in terms of the approach we could have. We can be on one hand, we try to productize everything. So we try to put different type of problem in a box and then productize problems. There are a certain number of clearly defined problem. Okay, predictive maintenance is one of them, where part of the solution can be packaged, and then another part of the solution will be customized and adapted to the customer need. On the other extreme, we could try to do things that are only one-to-one relationship and have a tailor-made solution to every single customer problem. But the problem is that it's very tailor-made, but it doesn't scale. So the in-between of those two extremes is how do we assemble pieces together that could be contribution from the different members of the ecosystem so that we can solve actual problems. It's not a solution that is owned by somebody in particular and that is absolutely productized. It's not a one-to-one, totally customized because it's not going to scale. It's the result of a collaboration with people having their own specific area of expertise, and we think it scale in a better way. So EcoStruxure is the technology contributions that Schneider Electric brings to Exchange, but it exists together with the technology contribution of all the different participants of Exchange with their solution, and we want to be respectful of the specific added value of each of the participants in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I'll just add to that as well. So with Senseye, we're a SaaS software platform that on its own does not provide predictive maintenance. We need everything from the sensor on the machine, the data aggregation locally, to the cloud platform, all the way through. And this is where a system like a platform like Ecosystem can bring all those players and that experience together. And like you say, that knowledge then can become accessible and reusable, and people can almost have a cookie cutter approach. Once you start to solve it for certain machine types, you can reproduce that technology and that capability over and over again in a highly scalable way.
Exactly.
This is an interesting concept. I mean, when I listen to this, I mean, you're facilitating collaboration through a crowdsourced solution. And I think the value of that's tremendous. And another point that you touched on also is it's a focus on a problem. It's not a selling of features, benefits of a product. It's allowing people to come in with an issue and leverage that community's capability to resolve that. Maybe not directly, maybe it's through a similar application, but something where they're seeing that tie, whatever their industrial piece happens to be. Interesting indeed.
And as we said earlier, by the way, we could say a problem or an opportunity. It's the glass is half full or half empty.
Right.
I think half of we see this in our own implementation, in our own buildings, in our own factories, because we experiment our own solution in those contexts. Half of the resolution of the problem is scoping it properly, understanding what is the opportunity, understanding what are the levers to achieve that. Prototyping in a certain way so that we can demonstrate that initial hypotheses are right, and then scale. Because if it doesn't scale, then this has limited value. If you invest time and resources to address the problem in one of your facility, but you are not able to build something that is repeatable with the same building blocks across facility, maybe if you have 20% reconfigurations, that's fine. But if you need every new facility, if you need to absolutely redesign the solution, it doesn't scale well. So this idea of building blocks, but that are not just technology building blocks, that are building blocks that are associated to a company, a specific expertise that works together. Rob was highlighting that. So the story with Senseye is absolutely fantastic. We have connected systems that get data out of a production environment. We can combine this with the SaaS platform of Senseye, and then together packaging this with specific domain expertise or specific data science than address granular specific customer problem that have direct business value. If that has direct business value, then the end user will comment and will promote this in the community and will say, well, I've been able to get that gain of efficiency in my process, and I invite you to use the combination of the solution of Schneider Electric and Sensei. That's good for everybody. That's good for the end user. He gets his business result. That's good for us. We get one more proof that our solution is great. That's good for our partner Sensei for the same reason. So it's getting the pie bigger, and it's a win-win equation.
So if you're a native digital company such as Sensei, I mean, why should you care how plant managers and system integrators benefit from the ecosystem? Robert.
So, for us looking at it, the digital marketplace is fundamental to that. We're on a very typical startup journey. We founded in 2015. We've gone past that proof of concept phase. We've got, many big clients out there. And the next fundamental challenge for us is that, inflection point in the business. And it's all about scale. And that scale can come by being able to exploit things like the digital marketplace, where you're getting, that global coverage and that access to a global market. From us as a company of 65 people, being able to access that worldwide. And what's really important in something like a digitization strategy and predictive maintenance is that we find you don't find sector or geographic clusters. What we're looking for in this sector are those early adopters. This is a very new market that's moving fast. But we need to move as fast as that market. So we need to find the people that are ready and be able to access them quickly in a way that scales as to how we want to do that as a business and how our investors are expecting us to do that. And also getting that access to new use cases and new experiences is fundamental to how we drive our product forward. And that open ecosystem perspective, where we can actually find partners within there that are able to fill those technology gaps I was talking about, so that you can actually present yourself as a solution to a customer, not just a tool, and you can go in with a complete end-to-end capability. And from Sensei's perspective, we bring that software tool that can be used in that solution, and we combine that with machine learning and advanced analytics. But again, the focus there is on a very laser-focused use case of predictive maintenance, and trying to keep it always related back to solving the plant manager's problem.
And this element of scale and reach that you mentioned, Rob, is very important in the idea we have on Exchange. I think many people picture often digital or IoT as large companies adopting complex technology. Okay, like very large CPG players, automotive manufacturers, or whatever. But this is not the market. The market is made by small and medium-sized companies, in general, either very local or very specialized and having a global reach, like Sensei, very specialized in a specific area. And any support, we believe, that will help give you a better reach and give you better tools to scale your business, we think it's extremely valuable, and that's something that I believe we can bring through the community. Not just Schneider Electric bringing this to partner companies, but the community collectively helping each other to address those challenges of scale and those challenge of reach through a common tool, a common capability.
Exactly. Gentlemen, thank you. And I could probably go on for another hour with questions, but yeah, I want to open it up to our audience because based off of what I'm seeing coming in the Q&A, there's a tremendous amount of interest in questions across all of the topics that we're going through. So we're going to shift gears a little bit now, and in IoT world traditional sense, we're going to go into our Q&A interactive dialogue session. So just to remind everyone out there, you can submit your questions through the Q&A portal right here on Zoom, or please feel free to send those through the Twitter and the other social media platforms, If you do hashtag capital S, capital E _ exchange, we'll get those as well coming in real time. So let me take a look here and see who we want to kick it off with. We have a question coming in from Eric. It says, does Sensei provide a complete predictive maintenance solution, including vibration, temperature, etc. sensors in plant communications, or just the software to identify trends in sensor data?
Yeah, so it's one of these things. As a startup, you specialize in what you're good at, and you recognize that there's a lot of key players out there doing a very good job in developing hardware. So we stuck to what we were good at, and that was taking our industrial experience and applying that into creating a software product that can serve that market. So yeah, we don't really go the other side of the data repository, if you want to put it that way. So we expect the data to be gathered and put into a cloud repository at some point. Although a lot of our company, and myself included, we've got backgrounds within condition monitoring and signal processing. We can provide some advice, and we do that with customers. And also we find, even with Exchange, that we're able to provide input and direct some of the product offerings that Schneider are starting to develop internally.
Okay, this is a good question. How do you deal with businesses who are hesitant to collaborate? Many companies want total ownership of data and algorithms developed. Larger companies don't want a lot of companies to commercialize jointly developed IP and deploy their competition. Who'd like to tackle that one?
I can start. I think, well, if you don't want to collaborate at all, then don't. Okay, so I think you can contribute to Exchange without sharing your data. There are other elements of value in Exchange around the communities, that are not just center of data. Data is just one mechanism that we provide on Exchange, so that we can either help companies develop better solutions because they can consume reference data sets that describe those problems, or organize a private collaboration around the data set. Then I was provocative at the beginning when I said, if you don't want to collaborate, don't. But this is not the overall trend of the market, and this is not the directions that are taking the industry in general. We live in more and more open ecosystem. Look in the software field, how open source software has been developed over the years. We lived in an open environment, so people have to learn to collaborate. And we need to take our share of that by creating confidence that sharing and collaborating bring more value than staying in isolation. And those concerns in terms of IP security, we also have to communicate in a very transparent way about what are the risks and how we mitigate those risks on a platform like Exchange. That's work we work with companies that are specialized in those different dimensions and that are best-in-class partners in order to address those different challenges. But I fundamentally think that open collaboration with the right tools and mechanism, not just in a free form, but with a very structured approach and a business platform like Exchange, is the future of the industry and is the future of innovation in our industries.
Yeah. And rebounding on what Cyril is saying, for me, it's common sense to say no company in the world can be the best on everything. And given the variety of what companies are inventing, creating, refusing to be able to leverage what exists on the market, for me, clearly is doomed to failure. And Exchange is a way to facilitate collaboration. But collaboration has to be part of the DNA and has to be more and more part of the DNA of any companies that is willing to continue to grow and succeed. That's as simple as that.
So kind of is a follow-up of this. Robert submitting a question. He says, how do you maintain momentum, within the digital collaboration ecosystems? How do you keep those things moving forward, keep that drive going?
For me, Jean speaking, when you say momentum, I would say failure is part of the collaboration. Failure is part of the learning. So momentum is really working together, learning, failing or succeeding, but the momentum will continue if the trust is there, if of course success are there, but you learn a lot also from some of your failures. And an important element we didn't talk about is speed. I think what is also fundamentally changing and will be more and more important in the future is the speed in the ability to understand the problem and propose a solution that meets the problem, fits the problem, or solve the problem. And therefore, the momentum is going to be part of, and the rhythm of the collaboration is going to be an integral part of the success, because if you're able to do that seamlessly at that speed, you will create a virtuous circle that will, let's say, enhance the collaboration further.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that as well. I think also it's keeping it open and bringing in new sectors. I mean, as you described, my background was within defence and aerospace. We saw a lot of transformation in that business model over the past 20 or 30 years. And I can see that now happening within a lot of the industrial players that we're working with. This massive shift towards servitization, I can see it all unfolding again. And I think having an open platform where you can bring people in from a wide variety of sectors and share knowledge and experience with different use cases is invaluable.
Got a question coming in from Jayant. He says, all the conversation seems mostly theoretical. Do you have a case study or can provide proof of how this is working? I know we didn't cite specific cases in today's session, but I'll toss it back to Cyril and Gino. I'm quite sure they've got an arsenal that they can reach out to you with.
Just to rephrase, you like to have more fact and figures?
Is that what you're looking for, Jaden? We'll see if he answers us back. If that's
no. I was trying to rephrase the question, your question, to make sure I properly understood. So the question is, could you provide us with more fact and figures on around all of this? That's the idea.
You know, I'm not going to provide all the figures for confidential reasons, but we have 45,000 registered users on Exchange, and this is growing every month steadily. And we are doing the right things with the community to grow this even faster. I don't think we need a case study, because this will be still theoretical, because this will just be a piece of paper. Join Schneider Electric Exchange and see it by yourself. No. Ask a question on the communities, see how fast you get an answer. Describe a problem, see what people can recommend as a solution. Experiment it by yourself, see what you get out of it. That will be the best proof of its value in your specific context. That's what I would recommend to people to feel the reality of Exchange. And as I said, Exchange is not an intention that is described in a short PowerPoint that has made as an introduction. It's a business reality. 45,000 users. It has been in beta for a year. It has been live full scope since April. Welcome.
Yeah, so this is not a trial balloon anymore. You've got a robust community of people that are pulling value out of this on a daily basis. Interesting question for Vernon. He says, can you describe the monetization and business model for an ecosystem structure? He says when he hears community, he thinks of Linux and Red Hat developers. Or are there deliberate or accidental similarities with SE Exchange?
So there are two steps to this. I think our focus right now is not the monetization of Exchange itself directly. So we are not going yet. This is something we could do in the future. We could imagine in the future to do premium plans, give access to some specific content with the subscriptions, offer to some partners the opportunity to do the same, because it's not just about Schneider Electric. I think right now the monetization of Exchange is mostly indirect. Every content that is created in Exchange in the forum is searchable on Google. So if you, like most of us, start by searching the answer to a problem and you Google something, if this is about building management, then there is a good chance that you are going to land on a forum of Exchange. If it's industrial automation, that might be the same thing. So there is to this collective intelligence, there is a collective value that is created for all the different companies that are participating. It could be in the form of better reach, identifying better business opportunities, finding an asset that you did not know was existing that you can use in your solution so that you gain cost and time to market. It's very difficult to precisely make the sum in terms of dollar or euro about what is the value of all this, but that's indirect monetization.
Got it. Thank you. All right, Subhatra has got a question. This is questions for Rob. It says, how are you able to predict electronic failures? What kind of solutions do you provide to them? And do you have any partners in India?
That's actually an interesting question. I saw that come up and it made me smile. Fundamentally at Senseye, we are about prediction on mechanical machines. Predicting electronic failures is a notoriously difficult branch of condition monitoring. If Subhatra wants to reach out, you can ping me an email and we can talk about that subject offline.
Okay. Very good. So you got an open card to reach out and have a conversation. This one came in from David. It says, any advice to convince people who are scared about digitalization? So a big picture question here. How do you bring in the masses that are skeptical?
Well, that's a very classic big ticket question. I think the best way to convince people on digitization is to try and experiment. As it was stated before, not make it theoretical, fuzzy, high level with a lot of buzzword. Take a context that is important for your business and try. And try with the right people and the right partner and see how you can scale from that point. I think that's the recommendation I'm making to all the people I'm meeting on digitization. It can be a very intimidating topic because it's complex, it's wide, it implies a lot of technologies that are new where there is not always the right proof point in terms of value in your specific context. So experimentation with the right people is an excellent starting point.
And to rebound on what Cyril is saying, I would say, for me, digitization is not a end in itself. So no reason to be scared. It's just an enabler. It's just a means to be more effective, to personalize things. It's an enabler to do things differently or to do things at a lower cost. So why should we be scared? I think we need to be curious and we need, as Cyril was saying, to try.
Yeah, I agree, of course. It's almost the opposite question. It's you should be scared not of doing it, right? Because if you're not, your competitors will be, and they'll start to get a march on you. The thing maybe to be that we've experienced at Senseye is some organisations taking a very large holistic approach and trying to come up with very grand plans, and basically getting them stuck in a decision paralysis. I think, like Cyril and John are saying, move small projects moving forward and just gaining experience within your organisation, and then building on that learning or that success, and also building on those failures where you realise where you've gone wrong and you have to adapt and pivot.
And one thing I invite you to do on Exchange, which probably bridge that specific question of experimentation, as well as the previous one on what is the right starting point or what is the benefits of digitization. We have organized through Exchange a certain number of challenges, and I invite you to go to Exchange and to look at some of those challenges, like one I have in mind in the food and beverage industry, and to see the sum of ideas that people can come to from a specific problem by just collaborating on identifying the right solution and challenging each other, challenging the consensus that we can have on addressing a specific customer problem. And you will be amazed about the innovative way people find to address a classic problem in new ways using digital technologies.
Robbie's got a direct question. He says, PLM details. He'd love to know more about this, Cyril. So give him details, you're going to take it online.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, can you be more specific, Robbie? What are you looking for around what type of detail? You want to send in a follow-up question to that? We'll see if we can tackle it.
Is it PLM in the sense of publisher lifecycle management, or is it the product lifecycle management? What PLM are we referring to?
That's right. The mysterious acronym. So if you can clarify for us, Ravi. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, we got one. Sensei does the continuous monitoring for vibration or batch-based? And this is a question to me. Does it do that? And how do you handle changing loads and changing speeds? So how do you address the dynamics of these types of situations?
Yeah, okay, so there's with like vibration monitoring, for example, that's an interesting field within condition monitoring. There's a lot of devices that sit close to the machine that reduce that data. So you can have very high volumes of vibration data that can be reduced down to a few real numbers that give an indication of maybe the condition of a bearing or the condition of a shaft or of a gear. That information is typically streamed along in similar ways that we get things like torque measurements and current measurements from machines to Sensei, and it's typically somewhere between readings once a minute to once an hour. So we're looking for that online, not necessarily real-time data, but online data that we use to continually monitor these machines. We do have capability where we could receive data that comes in a batch process, but typically that's the exception. Where maybe we don't have that level of connectivity in early projects, and clients are providing some sort of file transfer to us, and we can use that. On the other part of the question related to understanding the process, we can hook into parameters such as control parameters, so maybe the frequency of a variable speed drive, or even regime or recipe information. So if it's a food and beverage plant, you might be changing your product that you're making every few days. That information can be connected through and provide context to the data.
All right, thank you. So what's
sorry, Greg. I saw an interesting question from that was a follow-up on the previous one from Catherine on experiments, and I wanted to follow up on that one. The fear and the perception that sometimes experiments can take a lot of time and are open-ended. So I wanted to react on that one because what makes a big difference in my experience, there are technical experiments that are open-ended. Usually they are started by technical teams, they build some things that looks good with a good intent, and then it stays forever because it's a solution that is looking for a problem to solve. If your experiment starts with a proper business context, which is I want to solve that business problem because it's part of my goals, then experiments are fast because either you see that it goes in the right direction or it doesn't. If it doesn't, then you move on and you try something else. If it goes in the right direction, then you refine. And the fact of having a business context, so understanding what problem you want to solve creates a business platform that allows the experiments to become a solution. But if you do it the opposite, if you start from experimenting on technology without knowing what problem you solve, then you can be open-ended forever and frustrate a lot of people by putting more and more money on technology without having any business impact.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm glad you caught that one. We've got a tremendous amount of questions here. So just once again to reiterate for everyone, if we don't address these live, we're going to move this conversation over to social media and some of the other platforms. And by all means, someone's going to get back to you with response to everything that's been submitted. So a couple more just as a wrap up. So like I said, if we didn't get your question answered, sit tight. We'll circle back to you shortly. But what do you folks see on the horizon for making the industrial IoT more valuable for companies? Any big picture thoughts there? 5G, augmented reality, digital twins? What's that leading concept or bleeding edge, if you will?
You try to start from the technology angle. I would start from the experience angle. I believe that for me, what will make the difference is the ability of industrial company to really create around their product and solution this unique and differentiated experience. leveraging all the technology you quoted and perhaps others. We didn't talk about quantum computing or other things that are going to arrive perhaps a bit later. But for me, it's the experience and the focus on creating something really unique and personalized that really meet the expectation of your customer. And technology can really enable to do that much more efficiently and much more personally than what we do today.
Anyone else have a comment on that one? I think I've got a final question. If not,
I think we are at a stage for industrial IoT where we reach the age of maturity. So a lot of experiments have been done. There are some cases, Sensei is a good example, around maintenance, predictive maintenance, that have reached a certain maturity where business value is demonstrated. There are some others. Jean was right to say augmented reality, for example, is just a piece of technology, but those augmented experience are in theory great, but have not yet scaled everywhere in the industry. So there are different things that are at different stage of maturity. The next 5 years we'll see all this started out. We clearly see evolutions in the field of AI and data. So all the infrastructure of IoT that has been built has to yield business results. So our ability collectively to transform data into information into insight and business value will also make the difference between the winners and the non-winners of the digital transformation. That's what personally I see on the horizon. And yes, there are some super emerging topic or more than emerging around blockchain, cognitive AI, quantum computing, that are either pieces of technology or enablers that will help us invent new use cases. But again, those new use cases have value if we can put in front of us the business equation that is as the foundation of this. We need more compute power. Okay, why? Okay, maybe I have a problem of security, so I want different crypto technology. Okay, quantum computing might be the solution. Or I want to train my workers in a safe environment before they operate a process. So immersive experience with virtual reality is the answer. I think by being rooted in the business context and by sharing this collective knowledge of the business context, we can advance the business impact of IoT in our industries.
And I'd just add to that. I think it's those new business cases and new business opportunities and the way that will evolve. We can typically only reflect back on experiences that we've had, and what I touched on earlier, the discussion about servitization. I can very much see a situation where machine builders can convert into capability providers. So nobody actually owns a machine anymore. You just you pay for the capability of that machine. It's not a fundamental shift in what people are doing. It's a shift in responsibility into the overall management of those assets, and digitization provides an opportunity for that. But again, that's just one that we can see. That there'll be many more out there that are new business opportunities that we haven't only seen glimpses of so far.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. I want to first off announce our 9th question winner. So in our first sweepstakes here on IoT World, Robert Burnell, if you are still on, you are the grand prize winner. You'll be receiving a copy of the book that we mentioned. Please send us your address. You can send that to info@iiot-world.com. Once again, that's info@iiotworld.com. And we will get that sent out to you post haste. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today, and please stay tuned for other educational webcasts brought to you by IoT World. Thank you, Cyril, Rob, Jean, for your outstanding content this afternoon. It's been educational for myself, and I know the listeners have found it that way as well. Later this month, we'll have the following virtual summit scheduled. July 31st, we will revisit the topic of industrial cybersecurity, featuring Joe Wise, industrial veteran on ICS security. He's also the author of the book, Protecting Industrial Controls and Cybersecurity from Electronic Threats. You can also secure briefings with our analysts and co-founder during the several upcoming events over the next several months. We'll be attending IoT Global Innovation Forum in Chicago, July 9th and 10th. Digital Industry USA, September 11th and 12th in Louisville, Kentucky, and SPS IPC Drive Show in November 26th to 28th in Nuremberg, Germany. Stay tuned for other educational series focused on topics ranging from industrial cybersecurity to how IIoT and artificial intelligence optimize industrial optimization and operations. Special thanks to Schneider Electric for this educational session this afternoon. If you found value in what you heard today, please subscribe to our newsletters and our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter at IIoT_world. This concludes the program for today. And once again, thanks everyone for attending.